Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what is the most severe case of someone being completely out of touch with reality you've ever seen? The pastor of a small town church insisted that members set up the parish hall and provide food and beverages for 125 people after every Sunday service, even though the average attendance was only around 20 people. Week after week, month after month, much food would be disposed of and large urns of coffee dumped down the sink, and all because the pastor was in denial about the reality of weekly attendance. They didn't even donate it to people who need it. Now I don't know much about this Jesus fellow, but I feel like he might have something to say about that choice. Edit, till a bit about food donation standards. Which totally makes sense but just makes this guy's actions more wasteful. I like Jesus but I can't stand his fans. Oscar Wilde. Large urns of coffee. They didn't even donate it to people who need it. There's tired children in factories in China who would love to have that coffee. Now drink it or no dessert. He should have invited members of the community in need to come eat for free. It probably would have boosted attendance a bit. Edit, thanks stranger for my first award lol. Yeah, but then his parish will be overrun by the poor, and that's bad for his business. I will never forget the man who angrily told me, a wheelchair user with no feet and no prosthetics, to go down the stairs if I didn't want to wait for the elevator. I had been talking to my friend, and mentioned we were going to be a little late because of the huge line. Edit, holy shit *T I was not expecting this much of a response. Thank you everyone. There's so many comments, so I'll answer a few of the reoccurring ones here if that's okay. As far as I could tell, the guy wasn't blind. I know most of these comments were a joke, but there were a few that were asking genuinely. It's not impossible, you can't always tell, but he turned around and made direct eye contact with me, which indicated he at least realized I was 3 feet tall at the most, so I was either a little person or in a wheelchair, both of which probably shouldn't be using the stairs at that time. The stairs were like a stampede of people. It was the central city station in my city at peak hour, and it was busier than usual because of less trains at the time. Even if I had my prosthetics, I wouldn't not have been able to safely get down without being pushed over. Tone is hard to get across on text, so I understand the confusion there, but I made the comment to my friend simply to inform her we were late for work. I wasn't passive-aggressively trying to guilt people. I don't think I should get to cut in line or whatever. The tone I used was more a, we are running late but what can you do? Before the guy interrupted, I was about to tell my friend I wouldn't mind if she went on ahead. Just some context. As for what the guy was thinking, no clue. There's a huge wheelchair sports program in that area, so people in wheelchairs are very common, and many are ambulatory wheelchair users, meaning they can walk for a little while, but not very well /safely for very long. It's very common for those people, and myself if I'm wearing my prosthetics and using my chair, to get hassled for faking it, so maybe that's what he was thinking. That I was somehow faking. Honestly, I have no idea. As I said before, he was looking right at me when he said it. What happened after was he glared at me for a few seconds. I was too surprised to say anything in return. He seemed to have a moment of realization and awkwardly turned back around to face the door. My friend and I had a good chuckle over it after he was out of earshot. Fine, I will. Rolls toward the stairs and just falls down all of them. Who are you, and why am I getting sued for discrimination and injuries caused by negligence? You see, now I just feel sorry for him given he was clearly blind, yet you failed to recognize that. Per second. Parents of a 35-year-old woman, who was hospitalized after suffering severe anoxic brain damage 20 years ago. She had been in the same ward since, barely conscious. They refused to get her transferred to a more suitable facility for 20 years, saying that there's no reason to do so, those facilities are for lost causes, and their daughter is going to make a full recovery, finish school, get married and be totally fine. Working in hospitals got me quite a collection of these stories, but this one I thought was one of the saddest ones. This story really hit me personally. I'm a ghost on Reddit, but something about this post made me very eager to respond. My parents were both in a very bad car accident, head-on collision, about 4 years ago. Luckily my mother was able to make a full recovery. My father on the other hand got a severe injury to the brain as well and is at a subacute being taken care of, and as much as I don't want it to be true, I don't think he's ever gonna come back. My mom every day since says he is gonna be back with us and we are all gonna be happy. I miss you, Dad. What would a more suitable facility have been able to do for the daughter? Specialized supportive care, designed for a person who is going to stay for life as opposed to a bed in a public hospital where patients rarely stay for more than a few weeks. You said she's 35 and was hospitalized 20 years ago, so the woman was 15 when she was admitted. Those poor parents, that's heartbreaking. Yup. A drowning accident. It's pretty horrifying. In college I had a roommate from the most sheltered part of Long Island. We met an exchange student from Switzerland and I swear to God she said this in complete seriousness. Oh wow, I didn't know people actually lived in Switzerland, I thought there were just banks there. Most sheltered part of Long Island, I'm guessing the Hamptons. Ding ding ding. Edit, well, in the summer, as the rich do. I'm dual American German citizen and when I lived in Texas, someone legit asked me if we have cars in Germany. He was not making a joke. He was legitimately this ignorant. Someone replied to him, you know BMW and Mercedes. I knew a Texan who once asked me if Canada had roads. Because he had looked at a world map and hadn't seen any. Really. Roads. And Volkswagen. Germany has a thing with cars. There is a girl at my work that always bitches about not making enough BC. She makes 200 to 300 a paycheck. Then is always the first to leave early and always shows up late and has other PPL take her shifts. She asked me how I make 600 to 800 a paycheck. I said BC I work more. I'm currently at work taking over her shift. She doesn't realize if you don't work more you'll be paid less. I've worked with a few people like that. Some who've gotten angry with me making more due to being there 3x as long and working twice the hours. This was from a regional manager of Starbucks, after they removed merit-based raises that could go up to a 5% increase, changed to a flat 2% increase. When she asked if people liked the new raise plan, I said actually no, they feel unmotivated with no reason to perform any better than just normal. Regional manager, your staff need to realize working isn't about money. If working isn't about money, why would the company decrease raises from 5% to 2%? To make more money, that's right. Someone once called me spoiled because I said I wouldn't work if I didn't have to. My parents paid for half the down payment on my house. Pay for our landscaper, house cleaner, child daycare, car insurance and give my wife and I a monthly allowance. We're completely self-sufficient human beings who even try and give other friends financial advice. Obviously written in the voice of someone I know. Sounds like the kind of person who when asked for financial advice would reply with, just get more money. Because for them, it really is that simple. Poor. Be rich. Work with a girl who is a flat earther and on top of that denied the existence of space. When the topic came up and I disagreed, she asked if I had ever been there. Obviously I haven't. I told her I have also never been to Japan and that does not mean it doesn't exist. She complained to management about my intolerance of her beliefs. Worked with a guy like this. Basically gravity doesn't exist and the moon is a hologram and we live in some sort of Truman Show dome because that makes much more sense. My sister grew up with everything handed to her, and literally cried when her first car wasn't the color she wanted. Married rich. Can't fathom why I can't take off work whenever it suits me, and says stuff like I wouldn't ask my boss for a week off, I would tell him I am taking the week off. I wouldn't ask my boss for a week off, I would tell him I am taking the week off. Oh my God, how come I never thought of that? You'd be surprised how many people don't understand how PTO accrual works for salaried employees. You get 15 days off a year, just take them all right now. My cousin was spoiled and sheltered her entire childhood through college. Then her parents stupidly cut the leash without any preparation and released her into society. She quickly got in trouble for bouncing checks all over town. My mom picked her up and asked why the hell she was writing bad checks everywhere. Turns out my cousin was under the impression that as long as you had checks in your checkbook, you had money in your account. She didn't understand that you deposit in a number and then can spend or withdraw up to that amount. Please teach your kids basic finance. Note, this was like 1996 before it turns into a who writes a check anymore discussion. You can basically replace check with credit card and it's updated for present times. Apparently there are people who think that they're just free money. Credit card at the limit. Time to open up another one. My old boss at the time was a girl of 26 who got $4 million from her mom a year to play with. Her mom is very wealthy in China. Her daughter is here trying to be a CEO of a company for fusees. I accidentally got a job at that company. One day she told us we were all going on a group outing for bonding. She took us to an outlet mall 4 hours away. Told the rest of us 7 people that she was going to go shop and she'd see us later. That was code for don't follow me, fuckers. Every 2 hours she'd let us know she was going to go unload her bags to the giant van they rented and would group text us telling us we can meet her there to unload as well. We all get paid under 50 Kelvin. We have nothing to unload. By lunch she had proceeded to fill up the van with shit. She then asks me where all my new stuff is and I said I'm budgeting right now. She goes take out a credit card and go shop. That's the American way. Seriously. Okay. By 9 p.m. her bags were taking up people's seats and they had to sit with her stuff. She spent 30 Kelvin. The rest of us spent about $70. We were tired and bored and cold. To this day I still believe she thinks she did something nice for us, and doesn't understand how polarizing and not at all team bonding that was. I'm sure there was a lot of team bonding involved. Just not with her. Lol, you're right. After a certain income, people just lose their fucking minds about normal human interaction and expectations. Your crazy rich boss story reminded me of a mandatory department meeting my old team had to attend. It was 3 hours and consisted of the upper management and sales leaders talking about how awesome it was when they were all flown to Hawaii to stay at the company owner's private resort. And then how awesome it was to be flown to Alaska to ice fish at the company owner's private reserve. Why, one guy came back with $2,000 worth of vacuum-sealed salmon. Great times, huh? Nobody cared that my department wasn't involved in sales in any way, that we were actively screwing the rest of the national departments by being dragged off the phones for 3 hours, and that all of us made just over minimum wage. When we complained to our supervisor, the upper management told him we were ungrateful for the opportunity to be inspired and uplifted by the possibilities in the company.